Welcome. I want to thank everyone for coming today. We've got a very special event. Last year at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, we introduced Survivor Club, and it's an educational program to let mariners and outdoor enthusiasts understand the importance of having an EPIRB or personal locator beacon when they go offshore. And so today we have a very special presentation where we actually have one of our survivors from the Tampa area, Kevin Keith. He's actually going to talk a little bit about what happened with his situation, and he actually had a very interesting rescue where it was a combination between U.S. Coast Guard, who we have represented Commander Barish today, and the SEATO office out of Horseshoe Bay, which we have CEO of SEATO, Captain Joe, will be here representing them as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce everyone to the latest Survivor Club member, Kevin Keith.
Hi everyone, I'd like to thank you for being here for our story. Thank you to the Coast Guard, ACR, and SEATO for...
A little bit closer.
Sorry about that. Anyway, thank everybody. I'm glad to be here. Anyway, our story started off on August 24th of this year out of Cedar Key, Florida. We were out on a normal day of fishing. It was a beautiful day. We headed out in probably 2 to 3 foot seas out of the east. It was a beautiful day. Went to a close-in spot at about 10.5 miles out. Got on the grouper real well. It was the best trip of the season. Anyway, we were doing very good on the grouper. Had a beautiful trip. Things were going really well. We were on the way to maxing out. And roughly about 3:30 in the afternoon, we went to start the engine and move. And somehow we lost battery power. We couldn't get the engine started. We were dead in the water. All we could do was run the radio to some extent. And looking back, communications were really bad that day. So we decided to call SEATO, and they could hear us, but we couldn't hear them. And we tried to communicate and couldn't do it. So we had several boats in the area. We popped off about 4 or 5 flares and nobody saw one. And these boats were probably within a mile and a half of us, and not one flare was seen. So it's important to me to say that you can't trust flares always. You know, they only go up 100 feet or so, burn for a few seconds, and somebody has to be looking right at them to see you. So we sat for a while, thought we'd have to stay overnight until somebody reported us overdue. So we hunkered down and got ready to just hang out and wait. After a while, we decided to try Coast Guard Station Yankeetown because they were the closest, and see if they could pick up our communication. And they did hear us, but the communication was very poor. They were able to hear our coordinates and dispatch SEATO. And in the meantime, waiting on SEATO, a bad storm was coming in. So we let out every bit of anchor line we had in 30 feet, put out about 250 feet of anchor line, tied off to the lower bow eye to hopefully keep from breaking any waves over the bow, and sat there dead in the water. There's nothing we could do about it. The storm hit. We think it was blowing probably 40 to 50 knots. In no time it went from glass slick seas at that point. It was glass slick, and it went from that to about 6 to 8 foot in probably about 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, it was blowing and it was really nasty, and it peaked out probably about 10 foot seas, and the boat was holding up very well. You know, we were coming up on waves and breaking. We weren't taking any over the bow. Everything was looking good. And out of safety, I went to the front of the boat and got 4 life jackets and a dock line just in case. I mean, everything was holding up well. We didn't foresee any problems. But I went ahead and got 4 life jackets, a dock line, and just prepared in case. Well, a little bit after that, my brother looked back to the back of the boat, and he said, "I think we're going to sink. It looks like it's awful low in the back." And I looked back and said, "Nah, I think we're just riding low. As the bow comes up, the back's dipping." A few minutes later, I looked back again and realized that the back was not coming back up when the bow went down. And it was obvious we were taking on a lot of water. It was a Euro transom design, so there was hatches at the back that were dipping underwater, taking on water, and there was nothing we could do about it. You can't open hatches underwater, You can't get back there to bail or do anything about it. You can't pump water with no batteries or bilge pump power. So all we could do is ride it out and watch it sink. So in the meantime, the water came up over the back deck, and within a matter of seconds, it went from our ankles to our knees. And that happened, you know, time plays tricks on you in a situation like that. But I'd say from our ankles to our knees, it was probably 30 seconds to a minute. And I tried a last-ditch mayday call, had no time to get out any coordinates or anything like that. All I could do is tell the Coast Guard that we were the disabled vessel out of Cedar Key that they were aware of. And that's all I could get out. And I don't know if they heard that call or not, because looking back, everybody had communication issues that day. So our last chance of survival was ACR's EPIRB. And we had the Global Fix I Pro, the best EPIRB they make, I understand. And it was kind of funny because I started to get it out of the holder, and somebody on board said, no, not yet. I said, well, we're going to have to pop it off. We're up to our knees in water and we're going down, but everybody's always scared to deploy an EPIRB. They don't want it going off accidentally. They don't want any troubles or, you know, Coast Guard coming out over false deployment. But finally we pulled it out and manually set it off. We didn't want to wait till we got in the water take any chances. We set it off manually, and as soon as it said acquiring fix or whatever it says, that was a good feeling to know at least if we were going in the water, somebody was going to know we were going in the water and we were going down. Because once again, I don't believe a mayday was heard and communications were pretty much down that day. So everybody got a bottle of water, had already gotten in life jackets. I lost my water and went back to the front of the boat, got one more, and in the meantime the boat just capsized very quickly. And I mean, just a second or two it rolled right over and everybody had to jump off. There was no choice about it. And hit the water, looked back, everybody got out of the boat okay. That was the main fear, is that nobody got hung up or was underwater drowning or anything like that. One guy had managed to get on the bottom of the boat, and we drifted off. The other three of us drifted off so fast that you know, he looked at us and realized I better get in the water with them. They have the EPIRB. So he jumped in with us, and we immediately tied the EPIRB off to my life jacket first to make sure it didn't go anywhere. Then we tied off with a dock line through all of our life jackets to stay together and basically drifted off. We thought the boat was going to go down. We didn't have time to tie off to it or take any chances, and with the EPIRB we knew that that would mark our position in the water. So basically we floated for about 2.5 hours before the Coast Guard chopper came. And we could see Cito in the distance looking for our boat. And that captain out of Cedar Key came out in some nasty conditions looking for us. And when he got there, the boat wasn't there. And I joked with him later and said, you needed to have your sonar on to find us. But he looked and looked and we weren't there. And he stayed out there in those conditions looking for us. And we could see him in the distance. But he didn't know where we were at till the Coast Guard got there. And they pinpointed us exactly with the EPIRB. And they told us later that they got a very, very good fix on that. So basically floated about 2.5 hours roughly, and the Coast Guard chopper came, sent a swimmer down, made sure we were okay, asked if we wanted to be airlifted or take the Cito boat, and we decided to take the Cito boat back to get directly back to Cedar Key. And we made it back safe. We made it back okay. And I'd just like to mention to everybody that safety gear, you know, people spend sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on boats, but they don't want to pay a little bit more money for appropriate safety gear. And you know, if you're looking at several hundred or $1,000 on an EPIRB, that's a cheap price to pay for your life. So I recommend everybody get an EPIRB. It'll save your life, and we're thankful to be here today. Thank you.
And if you just want to do like a little thank you to the Coast Guard, and then hand them off to Commander Barish.
I'd like to thank Commander Barish and the U.S. Coast Guard on behalf of myself and our crew and family and loved ones. You guys are invaluable, and you help save our lives, and we thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mikkel. And I want to thank Nicole for inviting me. It gives me great pleasure to accept this plaque on behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. Thank you. That's mine, and that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
You would do the same for Captain Joe from C2?
I'd like to thank Captain Joe and Seatow as well. Where they're invaluable, and their vessel, their captain, and their service helped save us that night too. And they brought us in safe back to port. And I'd like to thank you, sir.
I accept this on behalf of my captains, Sammy Royal and Scott over there in Horseshoe Beach. They did a phenomenal job, but that's what it is. It's our job. That's what we do. He stayed out there. When he started, it was pretty flat. He left, got out there, started 2, 3, 4. Next thing we know, it's 6 to 8, and your boat went down. It's not often that you can save people when they're in the water. Life jackets, I was so glad you had life jackets on. Please wear life jackets, very important. Your radio, check your radio. We have a radio check system for that. So you can check your radio and see how far it's going. But the most important thing, to take the search out of search and rescue, right there, that EPIRB, personal EPIRB, regular EPIRB, anything that you can get a signal out with to help pinpoint you. It helps the Coast Guard, and we work as a partner with the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard helo crews are unbelievable. Coast Guard Auxiliary Commander, great. We've been working with them for many, many years as partners. Everybody works together. You can't always save somebody, but the day you do, it's the best day of your life. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'll get this to my guys.
All right, and last but not least, Kevin's brother Carson actually just replaced their boat, and it kind of as part of the Survivor Club, bringing everything full circle. We're proud to present them with a brand new Global Fix iPro to replace the one that we've just donated. So. So if you want, we've got some refreshments here for you all. Kevin will be around working for the full day. If you have any questions for Kevin, please feel free to come up and talk. Thank you guys very much for attending. Thank you very much. Kevin.
You have a tradition. That only goes